and then I'll listen to this resonance frequency that they're shooting in my head. So I'm on the freeway right now, and I'm being attacked by our military and intelligence community. This has been locked onto me every second of the day for the last almost 10 years straight. So whether I'm at work, whether I'm in the bathroom, whether I'm having sex with my fiance, whether I go to another state, whether I go to another city in Nevada, it's happening 24 hours a day. I've reported this to the Federal Communications Commission 200 plus times. I've reported this to the FBI more than 3 times. I've reported this to the IC3. I've reported this to the local police department. At no point in time, anybody made it their priority to stop this daily torture and harassment that I'm going through, that so many other people across the globe are going through. So you see these extreme values being shot into my vehicle. This is a drone or a satellite locked onto me, constantly pulsing these values. And since this is a smart system, when I'm driving by a cell tower, when I'm in range of a cell tower, then this system automatically sends commands to that cell tower to then pulse me with resonance frequencies and directed energy assaults. So we got another cell tower coming up here. It's that black skinny one right there. And you hear the tempo change. So that's microwave auditory effect. That's pulsing me at the same rate. And then that's resonance. You hear that intensity pick way up? So that's brain state deterioration resonance frequency. That happens to every single one of us, okay? This happens to my fiance, whether or not she recognizes or notices it or not. This happens to my father, this happens to my mother. And last night, I have documentation of it that this type of stuff was happening to my 89-year-old grandmother too. So the people that use these systems, these weapon systems, do this to everybody. They do it to kids, they do it to senior citizens, they do it to us all hours of the day. So, and here's another group of cell towers on this Ahern building. These panel antennas. You hear the intensity pick way up. Listen to that. There's scientific proof. The intensity picked up, the value increased on the meters, and then you hear that tone change to a hum. That's called resonance frequency. The reason why that happens is because that's how they create a brain state deterioration. That's how they create brain state manipulation. That's what transcranial stimulation consists of. So if they want to stimulate the part of your brain that is depressed, right? Then you know how they do that is with radio frequency resonance. So they resonate a beam of radio frequency, so they make it vibrate with exactly the part of your brain that they're trying to stimulate. So then your brain can't tell if that's a natural electronic signal or one coming from a malicious third party. So here we've got another huge cell tower. And listen to the resonance. Cell tower there, and listen to the resonance as I drive by it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist And even if it did, then Elon could just hire some from the best universities across the world and have them do corrupt shit like this, right? Or we could just have another Operation Paperclip on some Nazi mad scientist shit, right? Because that's what the United States likes to do. That's what our country does, is we steal Nazi scientists and then we make trashy tank tops on Temu that says back-to-back World War tramps. And that's why other countries don't like Americans, is because we do shit like that. Because we do shit like this, because we shoot transcranial stimulation into people's brains, get caught doing it in the 60s, 70s, 80s in Canada and MK Ultra, and then crank that fucked up Nazi program up again and do it again. Gotta live America, right? Now let's make a pretentious tank top about it. So there's panel antennas on that city building, and you hear the resonance frequency, the resonance blast that it's creating. So those panel antennas are less than 1 foot wide, about 2 foot tall, and they're hitting me from hundreds and hundreds of feet away with complete accuracy. So that's what panel antennas do. When they have that chip that Targeted Justice talked about, they're plugged into the sentient/transient world simulation, and it's like a robotic sniper on a roof. That's what a radio frequency panel really is. And you know why the Trump shooter missed is because they were using resonance frequency weapons on him. I bet $100 is the only way you miss with a high caliber gun like that is with your brain state being attacked. And they allowed and enabled that whole thing to happen, obviously. So for the fact that not only did they allow him to take a shot, they allowed him to get up, set up camp, think all those things, premeditate the entire thing, and then they used the radio frequency weaponry at the very last second just to try to play God. That's my theory. They were probably using different variations of the weapon on him the whole week, but this is, without a doubt, it's happening. So you got the above head aerial satellite situation, then when you got another cell tower coming up on my left hand side, right by the Ed Bernstein sign. I said, call in it. I wish any lawyer in town would take a case to fight this corruption. And you hear that resonance frequency again. So far, we're 5 for 5 for resonance frequency on these cell towers. As you drive by them, they are cranking resonance brain state deterioration inside of my vehicle, into my head. So here we've got another one on the right-hand side here. We're gonna go 6 for 6. There it is, right there underneath that Omega Mart sign with the Rio in the background. So I'm gonna hold these up again, and we're already picking it up. It's going right through the fucking concrete. And again, you hear those tones. That is resonance frequency. The reason why it sounds like that. You hear that? That's a good one. That's what Crown and Castle and the intelligence community likes to hit us in the head with. That it is. They feel so pretentious about it. They feel so much pride about it. And then there's a $50,000 reward for who abused Irish Bulldog or English Bulldog that got put in a storage container and left for dead out in the heat. But you know what's even more important than that? Brain rape. Transcranial stimulation by the intelligence community. I deserve a $50,000 reward for what I do every single day to expose this bullshit. And then here we are again. We got another cell tower right next to these Jesus billboards. Like, Jesus, how much corruption can you have in one city? And there it is. 7 for 7 now. You hear that? You hear that increased activity, resonance frequency? 7 for 7. That's the 7th cell tower that's done that in a row this morning. don't understand. I'm fighting a mind war right now. We got minivan, Pennsylvania minivan douchebag. And listen to that resonance frequency. It's being shot directly in the back of my head. Look at this angle I'm holding this at. This is right behind my right ear that they're shooting this heavy, heavy beam in. Again, that's resonance frequency. And brain state deterioration. Now my vision is blurred because I'm hit with this shit so much, but when you intercept the beam, you can hear a difference immediately, and then you can feel a difference. Like my vision just cleared up. And you hear that attack right now. It's really bad. So this is locked onto me anywhere I go. They're pulsing me with this value. It's in the hundreds of thousands. And they use the satellites and the cell towers to make this a constant harassment. So like if they harassed you for like an hour a day, then you'd be able to deal with it. So what they do is they do this 24 hours a day for years at a time to try to create a angry state of mind, so then we lash out, you know what I mean? That's what they've done. The Boston bombers, that's what they did to Stephen Paddock. That's what they were doing to the Trump assassination guy. The CIA does something called creating a Manchurian candidate, and their strategies are documented and hidden and classified. So when you've got a part of our country that legally made it to the point where they can do all these things, and of recently they're not even a part of the country, but are still influencing and controlling all of our intelligence communities, all of our law enforcement agencies, and have way more power than any representative or the president does, then, well, that's exactly why we're in the situation we're in. It's mob shit. You've got a bunch of criminals attacking each other with this type of shit, trying to make their life as good as possible, and then attack people that expose the corrupt things that they do. And that is exactly the type of people that are in the FBI, exposed by the 3 FBI whistleblowers of May of 2023. Each one of those men said that's a toxic workplace. Each one of them said that's a toxic environment, and that organization shouldn't exist. And I bet $1,000 on it that those corrupt bitches at the FBI and the fusion centers use technology like this on their own employees, on cops, on representatives, on anybody that they feel like, because who's going to tell them not to? And where are the audits? These people, their own people said that they have a toxic workplace and that everything about that place is shitty. So then, don't you think when this type of thing is just starting to be understood, well, don't you think that's exactly the organization to use something horrible and evil like this as a shitty organization that just had 3 of their former employees talk about how dog shit that place is? Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And why isn't it being investigated? Well, because this entire country is fraudulent. Because when those 3 FBI whistleblowers were talking about this entire thing, Chris Wray, or whatever the fuck his name is, was probably on one of his 10 vacations he takes every year. That's why I call him 10 vacations. The FBI director has got one of the worst work ethics in America. All he does is lie and take a vacation.